long time.
How are you, my friend?
I'm good. I'm good. I mean, it's hard to stay too much home, but I've been writing a book, so it's all good.
I
And for you,
know.
you come back to America at a really, really crazy time, huh?
I know.
Especially after all your adventures.
I honestly, I kind of wish I was still back overseas sometimes. Like,
So before asking you the question, how does it feel to come back and how strange everything is? What starts you to travel?
I just feel like I kind of had everything, like I finally got the job I wanted. I finally had the apartment on the beach. I finally had my Prius that I'd wanted my whole life, like this, all the things that you think you want. And then you just are kind of still not fulfilled. And so one day I was like, you know what? I'm just going to sell everything and I'm going to buy this one-way ticket and I'm just going to go and quit my job. And, I was working at Cannabis and they actually had told me, like, if you want to do this, you can keep your job and you can just go once, 1 week every month and travel and we'll still pay you and everything. And I thought about it, because that sounded really cool. Like, what kind of person gets that offer? But then it wouldn't be fun. I'd have to come back and like do all this other shit and I wouldn't be able
It's
to
not
actually
that.
enjoy it.
It's not that you go on vacation, you don't go traveling. And there is a very, very big difference. When you
Right.
go traveling, you dedicate everything, you give it a shot. That's what I tell everybody. It's like, you think it was so great what I did? Well, why don't you do it? Sell all your stuff you have, buy an airplane ticket, and just go. If you like it or you don't, doesn't matter. It's going to be a good experience for you.
Right.
And when you come back, it's only stuff. You can buy them again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you can buy new stuff. It's even better. But traveling, you have to dedicate. It's not going on vacation anymore. So why a bicycle? I mean, there is many ways to go traveling. Why a bicycle when you have only one lung? Is it because you have only one lung that you did the bicycle?
Well, my current boyfriend that I've actually been with the whole time, he messaged me one day. It was actually my 6-year long anniversary, and I every time it's like my heart lung surgery anniversary, I go and do like a crazy hike. So I'll go and hike like Mission Peak or something, and it was like 6.5 miles or something like that. And I came down the mountain. It was like 8 a.m. and I looked at my phone, and some random dude that was like in Asia messaged me and was like, "Hey, I'm filming this show. I think you should come out. Like, I think you'd kill it." And for some reason, just like no bone in my body told me no. Like, it was just like, all right, fuck yeah. And so I just wrote him back and I was like, yeah, like, why wouldn't I go? And then we talked for a bunch of months, and then I decided, fuck it, let's go. And I mean, I wasn't really cycling at that time. Like, I used to cycle, like a long, long time ago. I remember I got a freaking DUI, and I was 21, and I didn't want to tell my parents. I didn't want to tell my parents, and I was riding my bike a lot during that time. So I told them that my dad called me and was like, "Hey, you haven't done laundry in a long time over here." And I was like, "Oh, okay, Papa." And so I was like, shit, I got to get back to going there every week. So I would have to cycle 26 miles every time with a big old load of laundry on my bike, like, just to like prove to my parents like I wasn't a shit show, But I found out later my dad actually knew the whole time because my mail was going to them. But that was like the most of my cycling. And then, yeah, I just decided, fuck it. I was doing all this energy healing at that time, and I had all these visions of me like selling everything and me being free. So I said, fuck it, I'm going to just quit and I'm going to sell it all and see what happens. And it was really fucking cool. You really see how the world works. And like, when I was in Thailand, I was writing this chapter of my memoir, and my book actually, like, my phone fried out, and then so did my cell phone right after. because it was really heavy. And so for 4 months of traveling, I didn't have a cell phone or a computer. And it was the coolest fucking thing I've ever experienced, because I went from like, hi, I'm Rosie Wright, I'm filming everything I do, and like, look how fucking cool I am. And to like, oh shit, now I have to sit with myself and like, oh my God. And that
You
was
have
so
to
beautiful.
look. It's like if you're showing something to somebody, you forget to look at it yourself. You know what I mean? It's not your
Right.
eyes anymore. You're just showing something that you should appreciate and not show. It's like traveling now. It must be so weird.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? To be connected like that everywhere, always.
It's so beautiful. It's
To
so
be
beautiful.
lost, yeah.
I mean, the weed out there, though, I'll tell you that much, is I was spoiled. I was spoiled in California. It's you definitely can find some good stuff, but it's scary though, because like in the Philippines, you can die. Like they'll kill you, you know. And I'm actually a dual citizen, and so being a dual citizen, like I can't really fuck around, because if you're just smoking a joint outside, your neighbor can shoot you dead. The president said that. Like
Yeah, the president gets the right. Yeah.
And so I'm like, fuck that, you know. I mean, I'd not fuck that entirely, because I definitely still smoked weed. But I got some really good hash from Cebu, but still, don't do it. Don't do it.
Well, Thailand is it's hot too, huh?
Thailand's actually pretty cool. I actually became friends with a bunch of the health
No,
angels
but I mean,
there.
it's like it's in India also. Everywhere it's prohibited. Some places are dangerous, but
Oh yeah.
otherwise you need to pay your way out and talk your way out so that you pay the minimum. Basically, it's the name of the
Absolutely.
game.
Yeah. When we were cycling in Vietnam, I actually like. I didn't look as intense as my boyfriend does, because, you know, he's like covered in tattoos, but like more than I am. But so I actually cycled, I remember at one point, with like a pound of weed on the back of my bicycle in Vietnam. Because I was like, well, no one's going to know it's me. But yeah, I mean, that was really interesting, because they give it to you in full stocks. You have to have like a full trim scene to to do that.
In Thailand, it was the weed was really good in the 1980s.
Yeah, I
And it
bet.
was from Thailand. Now everything comes from Cambodia because
Yep.
Cambodia is illegal. And
Mm-hmm.
it
Not the
can be
best.
okay, but it's like something you pay a year around 25 8 during the
Right.
215 time. You know what I mean? Like it's okay, good, but yeah, we are spoiled.
We're so spoiled.
So
It's
you
something
did,
you
but
have to
you spend a
understand.
lot of time traveling by yourself too, or most of the time with your boyfriend?
I did probably like maybe 7 months by myself.
Oh,
And
that's
that
what I
was
thought.
so
Yeah.
beautiful. It was so beautiful. I mean, it was great traveling with a partner, because you get to share those experiences, but you also get a much different experience when you're by yourself, because people are so nice. And also in Thailand, it's not very, I did 600 miles on my bicycle by myself there and camped the whole way. And like as a woman, it was so beautiful, because you don't see women doing things like that, let alone in Thailand. And they were just kind of like really enamored by what the fuck I was doing. Because I'd show up, I'm like, hey, I just cycled 60 miles. Can I camp behind your gas station? And they're just like, what? And what? Like, because I was so small, you know, but they would feed me. I would use their showers. I would do all kinds of stuff. And it was really fucking cool. You see how the world lives, and no one's really that scared, you know. And I wasn't really that scared, but I was also on a very spiritual quest. My dad had just passed away, and I felt like he was with me the whole time. I was guided by all these birds, and I never really had a destination, you know. Like, I just would pick a spot on the map, and all right, I'm gonna go this way, and if there's like a roadblock, fuck, I gotta turn right, you know?
I know the feeling. I travel without map. I never knew really where I was
Yeah.
until I looked at it after. I didn't really want, I didn't care where I
No.
was. But I spent 18 years to do that,
Right.
where you can even forget which year you are.
No.
You know what I mean? And the experience you have traveling in a group, two people as a couple, like I did with my wife, and alone, it's really very, very, very different situation. As when you're alone, they bring you in even more than when you're in a couple. When you're a
Yeah.
couple, they worry that you don't have a kid,
Yeah.
mostly.
Where's your child?
What's wrong
I
with
know.
you?
It is so true. It's like, where's your kid? How come you don't have a job? How come you have this? But then they're so excited about your life. You know, they're confused.
And Thailand, it's a beautiful country and it's very beautiful people. They're Buddhists. They believe in reincarnation. All the male people in Thailand were a monk. Even the king,
Right.
for 6 months, they beg
Yeah.
every morning. You know what I mean? They're different. I wouldn't fuck with them because they can become really savage. They have never been conquered by no one ever.
No.
The Siam Empire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like they're tough people, but they're so much full of love and joy. They love. This
Right.
country, you can hear people laughing always around you. It's like this is the most beautiful memory that I have almost from Thailand. It's that joy of life that they have. Doesn't matter their life. It's crazy beautiful. You picked up good, huh?
Mm-hmm. I actually was there when the king died. They had
Wow.
when they had his funeral, and it was fucking crazy. It was fucking crazy because the whole country was crying. The whole country was mourning, and like you could just pick up on this energy of like they love each other.
Yeah.
And
Very cool.
the little kids from like the oldest people, like the old people were sobbing, and they just couldn't really do it, you know? They couldn't think of a life without their king, and holy shit, to feel that unity was so cool. Like we had a friend actually come into town during that time, and we were like, sorry, Khaosan Road isn't Khaosan Road today, dude. Like everyone's mourning, and this is like actually a very fucking beautiful time to be here, and you might not realize it because you're here on a vacation and you planned this before and you didn't know, but this is a historical fucking time, and you should be so grateful that you can experience something like this. You know?
Yeah, no, this one, he did a lot for the country. They don't have much power. You know what I mean? Truly power to change stuff, but they still do a lot for the people of the country, a lot.
Right, absolutely. I love Thailand. I think about it all the time. I have so many friends there. When I was traveling by myself, I learned Thai. So, I mean, I got on YouTube, and then I learned by the fucking gas station people, you know? Everybody's like, those are your friends? I'm like, yeah, dude, the gas station people are my people. They teach me Thai. I teach them English. And it was cool. I finally met back up with my boyfriend. And a lot of people were asking, like, are you sure she wasn't dating a Thai dude? Because her Thai is like really good. But I was by myself, so what was I gonna do? You know, I have to learn where am I gonna shower, what, like I love soup. I got to figure out all the different soup names. You know, all the like. It was
Yeah, but
just
I
like,
mean, it's like that's traveling. It's like when everything is foreign.
right,
And because everything is foreign, your awareness is like full power. And when you're that much full power for a long time, it's fucking addictive. This is what you need. You need that much input of foreignness, like the smells, the food, the language, the sound of everything, even the sound of the rain. You were there during the raining season, no?
Right.
The sound of the rain, everything is different. And it's like you don't realize it, but you live at a level that is way higher than your average dudes that do the same things every day. It's normal, you know what I mean? Because
Right.
you need to absorb, and it's addictive. It's like it's me. Only my daughter stopped me this because that was I would have stopped smoking. I would have stopped anything to be able
Oh,
to
yeah.
live this always. Like
Oh, yeah. But it's also so tired. I know. I totally get that. We have a dog now, so I'm like, oh, shit. This is. But he's like a 2-year-old, you know, and I just, man, we went to an ayahuasca ceremony the other weekend, and I had to leave him for the first time, and I'm like, oh my God. But I saw him the whole time in my visions, and I'm like, okay, don't worry, baby, I'm coming back. But, you know, I really love being at home. I'm like, man, I live up in Boulder Creek, you know, like in the redwoods on a dirt road. And I actually had to come down to some lake because I don't have service up there to talk. But yeah, I love where I live, and it's actually very beautiful to appreciate it for once, because I feel like I took so much time moving from place to place to place to place, and then you kind of get jaded, and then it's so fucked up because you see all these really, really amazing temples or these really beautiful beaches, and you're like, you know. But then, like, once you step out of that, you're like, holy shit, this is beautiful. Because that's what happened to us when we were cycling, you know. Like, we were cycling for so long. It was like, for me, 3 years mostly, you know. And by the end, we were in Europe, and Europe was kind of like being at home. And then it was so expensive, and it had kind of the same American kind of culture, not as bad, you know, but it was still like not foreign. It wasn't foreign to me anymore, you know? And so it just stopped being as fun, and it was still really beautiful. But one day we were like, fuck this. We just got off our bikes and went, and like we got Lime scooters, and we did the tourist things, you know, and took pictures in front of these cool old buildings. And because we didn't do that before, we were just like, oh, another cool beach, oh, another cool temple. But now it was like, dang, like this is how many years old. Like we got to appreciate it for once because we weren't so tired from riding a bike for 8 hours a day. Like,
yeah. Yeah, no, I mean it's a way to travel that is. You're only the second person that I know traveling with a bicycle, and the first guy I met was a crazy guy who did a lot of off-road shit. Like the guy was a big monster that could actually do 8 hours non-stop, and you know what I mean. That was his trip. But he was not traveling. He was riding a bike in foreign country, in really rough place. Like, you know what I
yeah,
mean? You were literally traveling with a bicycle. That's another because you have to mix up leisure and hard work in the tropic. A bicycle.
yeah, yeah.
He
It
would
was
have
crazy.
never.
My bicycle was probably like 200 pounds, you know. And I see these cyclists going up the mountains up here in Boulder Creek, and I'm like, damn, I don't even like. I want to do it, you know, because I want to get up back on my bike. But I'm like, dang, that's easy. And I just like, wow, that's easy, because they don't have anything on their fucking bikes, you know. Like they don't have anything on there. My bike was so fucking heavy. I had a brand new MacBook on the back of my bicycle that whole time, because in case they needed to work or something, you know. But like no other cycle tourist has a fucking brand new laptop on the back of their bicycle. Yeah, like. But you know, traveling overseas, you have to have those kinds of things sometimes if you want to make money, especially if you're going to be out there for so long.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, unless you get like a job inside, like doing whatever at the homestays or something, you know. But you're not going to make much. That's going to be mostly for you to stay there. Like,
Yeah, basically,
that's
it's
more of a
like
trade.
when you live on an island, when you go into a very touristic place, they don't really like foreigner to do a business because it's a business that you take from them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
The
exactly.
only way to really stay really smooth there, it's you're because everybody knows that you know everybody, you live there. Everybody come and ask you, and you bring the people to the dealer, to the place, to the hotel, to the restaurant, la la la, and
Yeah.
everybody give you stuff free, quoi, basically.
Right.
And you can live with in Cochon, like I was spending $2 a day.
Yeah. I was spending like $5 a day, and that was including where I was staying. And I was just like, yeah, why would I? Where am I going? I remember at one point I was already in Asia for 2.5 months, almost 3 months, and I realized I had only spent $900. And I'm like, everybody's like, what? In 2.5 months, I'm like, shit, man, I've just been chilling. Like,
Have you often been invited and stay at the house of people and stuff like that when they find you on the street?
what was that?
Were you often invited in houses and with the local people?
Oh, so many houses.
Always, huh?
Like when I was cycling, my first day back on my bike, I was cycling and I was in the middle of nowhere, and I was like, shit, it's getting dark. Like, I need to find a place to stay, you know? And I had a really nice tent, and it's a one-person tent. So I was like, well, I need to start using it, you know? And so I couldn't find anywhere. And so I found this old, like, restaurant, like, neighborhood restaurant in the middle of nowhere. And so I was like, hey, can I set up my tent here? And they're like, what? And then I like showed them my stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, for sure. And they like fed me. I showered there, and it was like all buckets. Turns out he was part of a big nonprofit of Thailand, like helping people for a bunch of shit. And I was like, of course you are. You're so rad. Yeah, I met like really amazing people. Another like family that took me in, and they took me in for a few days. And then the son turned out to be a policeman, but then he told me later too, he was like, oh, if you ever need any weed though, I got you when you come over there. And, and I'm just like, yes, yes. If you
It's
ever need anything at all.
the country is crazy because there is a huge corruption, but everybody is corrupted at every level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When the cops stop a car in the street, the guy giving the driving license, there is always a bill with it, and
Yeah.
that's it. You know what I mean? It's like it's a way of life. Like I remember a cops stopping me. I was behind a bike taxi, checking me up. He could look, he could see in my eyes that I was really stunned. And he gave me his card. The guy was in civil. He gave me his card and he said, if you have anybody arresting you, give me a call. I take care of you. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I mean,
But
that's
I
how it
don't
was.
know.
I worked at this bar, and my friend, he was actually a big time mob boss, and he was like this, he's literally the sweetest man ever. You see him like driving around his motorbike, he looks terrifying because he's covered in fucking tattoos, and he's huge. He has his whole face tattooed, but he walks around and he goes on his motorbike and like drops off sodas to the neighborhood shops and like gives them stuff all the time. He takes care of the whole neighborhood, but he's also like, he obviously a drug dealer and stuff. So I remember I would help him with some stuff when I was in Thailand, and I would sit there because I worked at the bar, and my friends would come and they'd be doing something or whatever. You know, it's fucking, you do whatever you want. And so they'd be doing something, and the cops would come. I'm like, oh, don't worry, those are our cops. And they would just be like, what do you mean our cops? I'm like, yeah, those are ours. Don't worry. Like, they're just checking on us, making sure everything's good. We're safe here. Because like we had a bunch of cops that protected us because he protected the neighborhood. And so,
But
yeah.
they protect that. I mean, when I was doing the fashion bag in Thailand, I worked with a super legit company that was making the bags and stuff like that. how many times did I see the owner of the company giving an envelope to a cops because he's the cops of the neighborhood and everybody paid him. It's
Right.
like it's easy, but
It's
it
so
does
easy.
work, and
Yeah.
it does work fine. You know what I mean? It's it's fairer in a certain way that it's not only at the highest level that this is
Yeah.
happening, like in the Western world. It's like,
Yeah.
yes, it is corrupted, but the world is corrupted. At least it's obvious and everybody can have a piece of it.
Yeah, we keep it safe in that way, you know. It was funny. One day we were like, he had just told me my friend passed away, and I was really upset. And I was sitting there. He's like, "All right," and he was like, "We gotta go." And he rolled me this giant joint, and he was like, "We're gonna drive around Bangkok," and I was like, "Okay," and I'm just crying. And so it goes out at one point. He looks back and he's just like, "Oh, where's your lighter?" And I'm like, I don't know. I lost it." So we like go around. We're looking for people with lighters. Finally, like we stopped at so many people. Nobody had lighters. He finally stopped at one person. They lit it, and then as we're going away, he was like, those were policemen, and we start cracking the fuck up. And we're just laughing so hard that we let borrow. We finally had gotten a lighter and borrowed it from the cops. And
Did
I
you
don't
try
know.
the
It's the
mushroom up
crazy.
there?
What?
Did you try mushroom in Thailand?
No, I did acid though in the Philippines, but I did where you're not supposed to do anything. Yeah, if I didn't do any mushrooms, and actually, I think no, Malaysia I did mushrooms because they have them everywhere in Malaysia. You can just buy them. They're at the bars and everywhere.
Yeah, but Malaysia is like Malaysia. When I stay for a while in Thailand, and I would go to Malaysia to change my visa. I would go to Penang, and I wouldn't even bring smoke with me.
Oh yeah, Penang's crazy. Penang's fun though, super fun.
Yeah, no, yeah,
Really good
yeah,
food,
yeah. No, it must
amazing
have
food.
changed, but in the 80s, it's like
Yeah, I bet.
No, thank you. I was staying 3 days. It's like, okay, I don't smoke for 3 days, no problem.
Yeah, we had some interesting like we got chased by some guy in Bali. I think it was I think he was tied to the cops because we got hash from him, and then he like did some sketchy shit, and so I had to like ride my bicycle, and he's on a moped, and I'm like on my bicycle trying to do a runaway chase. Oh my god, it was terrifying. It was terrifying. It's getting like weed in other countries. It's fucking terrifying sometimes. Like in
Balis,
India is awful. Stuff like just traveling there on a bicycle is crazy awful, and then trying to get weed there, it's like, oh, someone might cane you later, you know. But we end up getting hash. We did end up getting hash, but it was very hard to get. We finally got it in Goa, but
yeah, in Goa, in Goa it's easy. No, India in my time, Kim could travel alone in India, and it was cool. It was really, really amazingly cool. Like you would be invited by family. They would even make a design on the place where you sleep to be sure that you would have babies, because they were keeping out that we were young together and without babies. And
yeah,
I remember like women washing Kim's hair and combing it for hours and hours and talking. And it's like you have like maybe a dozen words in common with those people. But at the end of the
yeah,
day, you can have a conversation. I mean, it's funky. It was, I don't know, it was crazy rewarding. India for me was a shock because
India is very shocking, very shock. I mean, it was great though. I met some really wonderful people too, like people I still actually talk to, you know. But the last day we were there, we went to a protest for a little girl who had gotten like raped and murdered, and she was held in a barn. And I think it was she was in there for 8 days, and she was raped by like 6 people, and 2 of them were government officials. And so that was our last day there. We went to a protest, and And the protest was awful because it wasn't really about the child anymore. It was mainly about like Hindu versus Muslim, and then it became like this religion thing, and it was just kind of awful because why the fuck were we there? We were there for the child, not and for like to stand up against this kind of behavior, you know, not to divide us with religion even more so, you know. But
and life with a Hindu, with a belief of caste and stuff, it takes another level altogether. India has changed a lot since they could import everything from the Western world.
right.
When I was in India, there were no import whatsoever of anything in India. Everything was made in India. And I don't know, it was super spiritual, it was super cool. Like I'm afraid almost to go back. At that time, when people were asking, a woman were asking me, do you think I can travel alone in India? Yeah, no problem. Now I would say no.
Fuck no. I couldn't even be out of eye shot of him because, like, yeah, no, we had gotten told by so many people. Even we were cycling our first day out in India, and it was like 8 o'clock, and we saw this older man, and he was really fucking cool. And he actually was like, hey, you guys shouldn't be on the road right now. What are you doing? It's dark out. Like, you shouldn't be outside right now. And so he guided us somewhere to stay. But then turns out it was like a kind of a halfway house, and we saw a man have a seizure in front in the morning, and it was fucking nuts. And we were just like, we don't know where we were. And I still have no idea where the hell we were. It was like one of the oldest temples in India, though, we stayed across from. And it was during this celebration time, and they wanted us to stay longer, but I was like, and Nick was just like, so we just kind of cycled out of there. I don't know where we were, to be honest. It was in the middle of nowhere. And they had never really seen any foreigners before. Ever.
Yeah, I've been into places like that where the guy in the train say, "Wow, why don't you come with me?" And la la la. I'm stopping at the next one. Shit, why not? You're going nowhere anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sure. And it bring you in the places. It's like going back in time, but it's like I don't know. That's the beauty. That's the beauty of it. It's like being able to just go wherever, whenever, and live whenever you want, and there is no limit. You were doing bicycle in India?
Yeah, we cycled for like a month in India. That was fucking it was crazy. I remember at one point there are some really beautiful parts, but there are some like we would be cycling and people would just get out of their cars in the middle of nowhere, get out of their cars and just take a shit and then get back in their cars and keep going. And then one time these like younger dudes circled us and they're like, you want to make fuck? You want to make fuck? And we're like, we got to get out of here, you know? But they're on like 4 motorbikes. And we're on these pedal bicycles, you know? We're like, we got to get out of here. Like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You just got to fucking keep cycling next to these assholes until they stop, until they leave you, you know? Because you can't call the cops anywhere. Like, right now in the world, it's so crazy here in America, but also like, damn, I want to say, like, have you seen the rest of the world? Because we are so fucking privileged. Just like, I mean, it's terrible. All of this is fucking terrible here. But, like, being gone for so long and just living outside, like, actually outside and not just, like, backpacking. And you actually have to face some things that you would never face, you know? And it's humbling to say the least. You know, I've been like sexually abused like while we were cycling and shit, and it's terrible. But then like the next day we'll meet somebody like this millionaire that takes us into his house, that's the most humble man in the world, and says that we can stay there for a week. And like, all right, I can't sit here and be like, the world is so awful. Yeah, bad things happen, and that's totally fine. That's fine. But then the next day, something great will happen, and then I can't be mad about anything, you know? And that happened so many times. And everybody's like, how could you just get back on your bike? I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do? Stay in this village? Like, I'm just going to have to get back on my bike. You know, that's just what it was. And that's the cool thing about traveling is You wake up, you're like, what am I going to do today? Maybe nothing. And maybe like I'll meet someone really cool. Like when I was in the Philippines, I met really amazing people from like Romania and where was she from? Norway and like a bunch of other countries, and we all got together and it was cool. Like we all got off our phones because we didn't have service, and we got on these motorbikes and went to these like beaches in the middle of nowhere. I don't know any of these people. They were staying at this tree house that I was staying at. So we were staying at this cool tree house in the Philippines, and then we all just took off for a few days and like went to all these beaches and camped on the beach. And who the fuck were these people? I don't know, but they're amazing and I love them, you know. Now I have these pants from Nepal that I wear all the time from them.
No, but
cool.
there is a whole tribe of people that live on the side of society traveling.
Yeah.
That you meet in different places. It's like it's very trippy. There is a lot of people doing it, even
Right.
Even today. It's a lot of people have been. When I was young, everybody was telling me how lucky I was to travel. I did that for 18 years solid. And it's like, it's not the question of luck. I gave everything for traveling. I had nothing. You know, the only girlfriend I ever had is my wife, because I met her traveling and she was traveling herself and doing her stuff herself. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that she never gave a limit to her relation. I have total freedom and that freedom, was so precious for me to be able to just wake up every morning and do anything I wanted, go with anybody. It's like, bon, now if I was at 63, if I was in the same position of freedom, when you get older, you always think about what shit can happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you're young, it's like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Why not? You know what I mean? When you're older, it's like, oh yeah, so where are we going? How long? La la la. When you're young, it's like, sure, I go with you. That was fun.
No question.
Yeah, no question. And then you see what happened. That's the beauty of it. It's like the most. I was really clueless when I was young, but the only really thing that I was really on point was, if I don't do everything I want to do today, I'm never sure if I can do it tomorrow. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm going to wait until I'm 60. Shit, I don't know if I'm going to be alive at 60. So you want me to work for all those years, waiting to do something I really, really, really want to dedicate my life to? And I'm not even sure I'm going to be there. And now that I'm 60, I know it wouldn't have been the same anyway. It's like, whoa.
Yeah. I know. I feel that now. I
it.
think about it, and I'm just like, it was just my 9-year heart and lung surgery anniversary, May 25th, and I'm just like, dang, I never thought that I would do something like that, because when I had my surgery, you know, like I thought, oh fuck, because I was a distance runner at that time, and I was like running 10 miles a day, and then all of a sudden I had this walker, and then I had to use a fucking walker, and I was like 23, and it was awful, you know, and then as I just like kind of got into not giving a shit, I was like, I'm gonna do this, you know, like, I don't know. I never got to go diving or anything though. I want to dive really bad, but I think I can if I can cycle. I mean, we did cycle 13 countries, and that was really fucking cool, and that's so humbling. And now I look back on it and I keep having like flashbacks, because it was 3 years of that, you know, and every day you go through, it's like a movie every day. Like you wake up, you don't know where you're waking up, and also you don't know what you're going to do, what you're going to eat, where you're going to meet, like anything. You don't know anything about anything. And, you know, and now I just like, every day I'm like still living it, you know, because I forgot. I'll like go through my photos and I'm like, wow, this is the coolest thing ever. I did that. No way. You know, I look at these mountains, or like, I just, what? It's just, I blow my own mind, you know? Like, it's, and I feel, you know, you probably feel the same when you look at places and like, damn, I did that, you know, and you see these pictures or like see these memories, you'll never forget that. And I'm glad I did it so young, you know, like I'll be 32 in like a couple months. And I'm just like, man, I'm so glad I already did that. Because so many people are like, I wish I could do that. Like I was talking to your wife, you know, about it. And everyone always told you, I wish I could do that. And it's like, actually you can. It's not that hard. The most expensive part of it is getting there. And that's it, because the flight is the most expensive thing, and then you get wherever you are, and most of the time you only spend like $5 a day, $20 a day, you know, like if you have a certain amount of money, you can last for so long out there. Compared to
Still,
here, it's crazy. Like, why do you even want to do it? Sometimes I think that, but then now I'm like, damn, I'm so glad I have a home, you know. But
now it's a little bit more expensive, but I remember when I left for India, I had $450 in my pocket. We were three friends, and we had each of us $450 when we took the train from Nice to go
yeah,
to Italy, Greece, Turkey, la la la. And I came back a year later, and I had stuff to make money to get back to traveling.
right.
You know what I mean? It's like you don't know what can happen,
No,
and everything is happening. It's like when you live in the same place, you have a circle of people you know and stuff
right,
that can happen to you.
right,
When you start traveling, it's like it demultiply. It's like the potential of stuff that you could do if you wish to do it. It's crazy every day. You know what I mean?
right,
And uh, and that, I mean, that was everything in my life. But because I had been really so martyrized when I was a kid, brutalized, and like they beat the shit out of you to teach you something instead of asking you. And
right,
like all the regulation of that they put on the kid and stuff, I just couldn't wait to be 18 and to be really, 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 really free. And the
right.
first things I did was to get out, and I went back to France after 18 years. I didn't even bloody speak French when I came back after 18 years. I was translating from English, you know what I mean? And those 18 years, I am who I am because of all those experience living in a Buddhist country when people never lie to you. When they
Right.
tell you that they do something, it's done. Always. Otherwise, they wouldn't say it, except when they're really, really, really drunk. In
Yeah.
Europe, it's like they tell you that they're going to do something for you. If you don't record them, 10 minutes later, they don't even remember it.
Right.
It's just talking for talking. It's like there is a greed for having stuff because you have only one life. You know what I mean? And it's not fair that you have nothing and the neighbor got everything. When you believe in reincarnation, and that person he got so much because he was so damn good for so many reincarnations that bravo. You know what I mean? And there is not
Yeah.
that envy that of other stuff. It's like you just do your own karma, you get there, next reincarnation, you get better. Buddhism is so beautiful for that. Oh,
Oh, it's so beautiful. I know. We actually went to the silent retreat in Thailand in Chiang Mai, and that was like my partner. He's now really into spirituality, but at that time he couldn't fucking sit for the life of him. So, you know, we're trying to sit at
I
this
know the
jazz
feeling.
meditation. Oh my God. And, you know, it's like a 10-day retreat. And he could not sit for the life of him. And I'm like, God, we're at this beautiful place. But he made it like 2.5 days. But because it was like a sitting you had to meditate for like 10 hours a day, you know. But it's really beautiful. But also, you noticed that it's changed a lot, and the American culture has kind of like got into it too much, like, because I could tell before it used to be a lot more holy. But the main monk that was there, I remember he like rolled it separately in a Rolls Royce in the morning, and all the other monks sleep across the river, and I'm like, oh hell no, like you did not roll up in a Rolls Royce. I'm sitting here trying to be holier than thou, you know, do my meditation, to be as beautiful in the light as I can, and you rolled in on a Rolls Royce, like
It's like your preacher from those big mega churches. They exist in every religion. You have those people who take advantage of other
oh for
people
sure.
because they're connected to God. Huh?
Oh, I had a
But
monk
it's
try to make
rarer,
out
quoi.
with me. A monk tried to make out with me one time, and I had to be like, Nick, we need to get the fuck out of here. Like, didn't even put my shoes. We stayed at a monastery, and he tried to. We did all the prayers and everything, and then he freaking tried to kiss me on our way out. And yeah, we like hugged, and then I felt his tongue on my mouth, and I was like, no, why is this happening? Because I've always loved monks. Like, since I was little, I would watch them outside, and I had some neighbors who like were
Wow.
crazy Buddhists, and I used to watch the monks that came to their house all the time, and I was really happy about them. And then I got like molested by a fucking monk and changed my whole world. I know, but then now I just realize they're not all like that, and there are definitely
Yeah.
people, you know, I can't think that everybody's like that, because every temple isn't like that, because I see that a lot of beautiful temples, and that is not
No, but
everybody.
a lot of those monks are there only for 6 months also.
Yeah. Well,
You
that
don't
monk
have.
had been there for like 12 years, and he hadn't seen a woman
Oh,
in a
that
long
was his
time.
career. Wow.
Yeah, he hadn't seen a woman in a long time, and he got weird, and so we had to leave. So, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
no, as a woman, traveling alone or even with somebody, the experience is very, very different. And very different from all my girlfriends that I knew traveling by themselves in the 80s. We did not have experience like that with a local ever.
yeah, it's an interesting time for sure. I mean, I'm glad I did it. I'm so glad, because just it humbles you so much, and then you come back in the world and you just can't be mean to really anyone, because holy shit. Like like you just see how the rest of the world works, and we are just so privileged, like, and I understand a lot of people are dealing with their own things, and everyone deals with them differently, and we are privileged as shit here, so we react differently, you know. But it is interesting just to see like how the world is, and I'm glad I did it before the pandemic, you know.
What was the weirdest to come back here?
Just the first time I came back, my dad got sick the first time, and so we came back and we tried to cycle tour Northern California, you know, Highway 1, and people just looked at us like we were trash and we were fucking homeless people. And I'm just like, dang, like I had money, you know, I wasn't poor. Like I actually was doing okay. And but yeah, people just didn't receive us very well here, you know, and we were just like another set of homeless people, and that just
Yeah.
like really. And then one day it was funny, because growing up, my mom had those nice Dooney and Burke like fancy purses, you know. So when I got older and I was working at, you know, Cannabis, and I had my dream weed job, I finally got myself one of those bags. And so I have one of those. I never use it, but I brought it out during that time, like, and we were staying on the boat in San Francisco. And when I had my bicycle and I had that bag, people looked at me so different. People are like opening the door, da, da, da. And I was like, wow, okay. Because I have an expensive handbag. Fuck all of you. You know, I was here yesterday with my homeless ass and my bike, and you did not receive me that the same. But I think, like, I don't know, America's just so hard. People aren't very nice, you know, and while I had a lot of really fucked up experiences, you know, that monk thing, another guy in Vietnam trying to rape me in a bathroom, like I've had really fucked up experiences, you know, overseas, but it still doesn't like amount to the shit that I deal with on a daily basis in America. Which is it's just crazy, you know, because people aren't taught to have compassion and empathy here. And there everyone is kind of, there's culture there, and people are taught community, and community is very, very important. And here it's like you just fend for yourself.
It's falling apart. It's especially now it's falling apart.
Yeah.
And with the cannabis industry, what's the difference? You know, what was the difference between the cannabis industry when you left it and now when you were talking about, you were looking at walking again into it? What's the big difference?
Oh my God, it's so fucking different, Frenchie. You know, it was so fun.
No, I mean, for me, it was progressive. So I know, but I see, I have perceived it per increment. So the feelings are diffused through that time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For you, it's a shock. It's like, I left this, and the people I know and the stuff that were are now like that.
Oh yeah, it was awful, to be honest, because I left right before rec, you know, before it became recreational. And then I came back and it was like recreational, and then metric was going into play fully. Oh, holy fuck. I was like, oh my God, like I can't give anybody anything for free anymore. Like I can't be the fun candy man that's like, hey, I got treats for you. No, that's got to be, if you want a treat, you got to have this long manifest, and all you, it's crazy. But I mean, we are moving in a better direction, you know. It is. I do find it very interesting that with like the pandemic, that all these bars are open, and then I have like Santa Clara County as like one of my territories, you know. And when the pandemic happened, all the recreational places had to close in San Jose. And I was like, what the fuck? But all the liquor stores and bars were still like, oh yeah, let's party. And so a bunch of my accounts had to suffer for like, I don't know, it's only a couple weeks, but it's just, they try to roll back Prop 64. And I'm just like, wow, for real? Like you can't just
No, I mean, we had to be seen as a necessity.
I know, and I just went from being like super
I mean,
sketchy.
Look how crazy it is. We are selling a Schedule 1 drug. It's written on the packaging to the legal market with the benediction of the state of California, but at the same time, we are one of the necessities that can be open during a pandemic. It's like, wow, is that
I know,
crazy?
I love it. I love it, and it's really cool because I'm just like, haha, I could have gone to jail for this, but now I haven't. Like, I'm an essential worker, and I just, all my friends collecting all this unemployment, and I'm like, at first, when I saw like one of my people, like close people get unemployment, I felt resentful at one point because I was like, hold on, because I've been working my fucking ass off. I haven't had any time off, you know, but then I'm like, hold on. That's okay. That's, everyone's on a different path, and I'm very grateful to be in this industry, you know, like I'm so fucking grateful to be in a thriving industry and now the people that were fucking it up are kind of, that came in during recreational, that were fucking it up with just like investor money and not caring, they're kind of getting fucked over now because they know the industry and they don't know that the industry is relationships, you know. So when you have a relationship-based industry and people with money, it doesn't work. So it's an interesting.
No, but as long as it's on Schedule 1, we're gonna have a big problem. As soon as we get out Schedule 1 and it's on the Senate, it should pass sooner than later. Then it changes the world. It's not only America. America, right. It's interstate, no problem. But there is a world market. Any country in the world could do whatever they want anymore. It would be legal. Oh, we have 1 minute already. It's only.
Okay.
Oh, love, it was so nice seeing you.
I'm so glad I got to talk to you. I love you so much.
We've not had the time since you come back, so I thought it was a super good occasion. I know you wouldn't mind people listening to our conversation. You're quite
I'm
open.
so glad we got to catch up. I love you. so glad.
I hope to see you soon.
I know. Let's get together soon.
Mwah.
Bye, honey.
As soon as we can travel around.
I know. Okay, baby.
Mwah. Love
Bye.
you, love.
Okay, how do we get out of here?
Okay, guys, that was the story. Traveling. If you really want it, just do it. Sell your stuff and be gone. The experience is amazing. See you next week. It was Frenchy Talk.